Welcome to this explainer. So today, we're diving straight into 6 breaking stories from June 27th, 2026 that perfectly illustrate how rapid agility and really intense user focus are just completely dismantling established tech empires overnight. You know, there's something truly magical about waking up to discover that the entire technological world has basically shifted beneath our feet. From artificial intelligence all the way to orbital mechanics, we're looking at an absolute masterclass in how hungry, adaptable innovators are rewriting the rules while the slow and comfortable are just getting left behind. So grab a coffee because the ground is shifting fast and we're going to make sense of all of this together.
Here's our roadmap for today. We'll be looking at 1. The AI power shift. 2. The custom chip revolution. 3. Gaming's hardware upset. 4. Reusable rockets change everything. 5. Crypto's cautious comeback. And finally, 6. The big tech transition. Let's get right into it.
Section 1. The AI power shift. The end of one-size-fits-all AI.
Okay, so OpenAI literally just shocked the entire industry by unveiling not just one, but 3 distinct versions of GPT-5.6. The era of the one-size-fits-all model, yeah, that's officially dead. This brilliantly illustrates their new tiered SaaS-style pricing strategy. They've launched Sol for frontier reasoning and complex coding, Terra for high-volume enterprise tasks at half the cost of GPT 5.5, and Luna for everyday users who just need lightning-fast speed on a tight budget. It's essentially the AWS cloud computing playbook applied directly to AI. But actually, there's a catch here. The US government has stepped in and mandated a temporary safety pause, limiting initial access to just 20 trusted partners to evaluate national security implications. They're heavily stress testing these models in the real world before millions of people get their hands on them.
Now, zooming out a bit, building these tiered models requires absolute top-tier talent. And this is exactly why Apple's Vision Pro Vice President, Paul Mead, a 15-year veteran who helped shape the iPhone and iPad, literally just jumped ship to OpenAI. He's fleeing Apple's famously siloed culture of secrecy. You know, the kind of place where you probably need a retina scan just to use the break room microwave. OpenAI, on the other hand, is luring these top minds with 40% higher salaries, some seriously irresistible equity packages tied to a massive $157 billion valuation, and the total freedom to experiment with cross-functional teams instead of just maintaining existing product lines. It's a massive culture clash.
Moving right along to Section 2. The custom chip revolution. Breaking the NVIDIA monopoly.
With that aggressive talent acquisition strategy underway, we really have to ask, how on earth does OpenAI plan to afford running all these new segmented models without going completely bankrupt? Well, the answer is that tech giants are rapidly mobilizing to break NVIDIA's iron grip on the hardware market. Look, NVIDIA's H100 chips are incredibly powerful for sure, but they cost anywhere between $25,000 to $40,000 a pop, and their supply is severely limited. So, the giants are just building their own. Highlighting this trend in late 2026 is OpenAI unveiling their brand new custom Jalapeno chip. They built this in partnership with Broadcom, whose stock, by the way, has skyrocketed 7-fold since late 2022, strictly as a result of these kinds of partnerships.
To really understand how they achieve these crazy cost savings, we need to look at what's called an ASIC, or Application-Specific Integrated Circuit. Unlike NVIDIA's general-purpose hardware that excels at both training and inference, Jalapeno is hyper-specialized exclusively for inference workloads. It's purpose-built. Because it trades versatility for sheer efficiency in this one specific domain, early benchmarks are showing it delivering 3 to 4 times better performance per watt than an H100. For OpenAI, which is processing millions of user queries daily, this specialized design translates directly to hundreds of millions of dollars in annual cost savings for their data centers. It's a total game changer.
All right, Section 3. Gaming's hardware upset. Why value beats raw power.
Let's move to the living room, because this exact same evolutionary pressure, this demand for targeted value over sheer brute force capability, is completely upending the video game industry right now. Get this. We're looking at a staggering 58% year-over-year drop in Sony PS5 unit sales for May 2026. Sony decided to hike prices by $50 across most models in late 2025, positioning the PS5 as this premium product, and the market violently rejected it. Dollar sales dropped 43%. There's definitely a certain irony in paying $50 more for a console just to watch its sales completely plummet. Now, that decline sits in stark contrast to Nintendo. Their newly launched Switch 2 just became the second fastest-selling console in US history, behind only the Game Boy Advance. They moved 5.9 million units in just 12 months, single-handedly boosting the entire industry's hardware spending by 38%.
So what is Nintendo's winning formula here? Well, they completely dismantled Sony's premium 4K strategy, not by offering more raw specs, but by prioritizing a smart pricing strategy and incredible user flexibility. They understand that in modern gaming, consumers want to start a massive Zelda or Mario game on their living room TV and then seamlessly continue it on their commute. They absolutely perfected the hybrid design, backed it up with incredible first-party exclusives and robust third-party support, and proved, without a doubt, that reasonable pricing and flexibility will beat raw graphical power every single time.
Up next, Section 4. Reusable rockets change everything. Scaling the stars.
This fascinating theme of rapid, user-focused disruption extends far beyond our living rooms and data centers. It actually goes all the way into orbit, where SpaceX just successfully test-fired their version 3 Starship engine. Build fast, test fast, fail fast, and learn fast. This philosophy beautifully captures the disruption playbook in action. Think about this. SpaceX has conducted over 12 Starship launches in 2026 alone. This willingness to test an engine, watch it fail, learn from that failure, and immediately test again stands in complete and total opposition to the slow, risk-averse bureaucracy of traditional aerospace companies. The version 3 engine they just tested, the Raptor 3, has a much simpler structure but offers vastly greater efficiency, all born from this relentless iteration.
The ultimate goal of all this relentless testing is dropping launch costs from hundreds of millions of dollars down to under $10 million per flight. By treating the massive 100-ton capacity Starship like a commercial airliner, one that requires minimal refurbishment between daily flights, SpaceX is permanently rewriting the economics of human space exploration. We're moving away from expendable rockets, where you literally throw away the vehicle every time you launch, to a fully reusable model. We are witnessing the birth of true, routine commercial space access.
Section 5. Crypto's cautious comeback. Fundamentals versus speculation.
Shifting gears from the stars over to the financial sector, we're seeing an incredibly volatile, heavily debated reshuffle in the cryptocurrency markets that demands a really objective look. When examining the immediate price action, while the broader market mostly paused and Bitcoin stabilized right around that $60,000 support level, we saw two massive outliers. Aave surged 19% in just 24 hours on news that the exchange Kraken is exploring a $385 million valuation investment in the lending protocol. Meanwhile, Solana jumped 10% to $72, driven by a huge $2.5 billion wave of tokenized stock trading on its network. So, on the surface, it looks like a massive win, right?
But hold on. To remain fiercely objective, we have to look at the on-chain metrics, because they show a deep divergence in the market's fundamental health. Yes, Aave has real value creation happening with Kraken's potential investment, DeFi token buybacks, and whale accumulation up 2.3%, but then we have to look at the other side of the equation. Solana's total value locked, which is the total amount of user funds actually deposited in the network smart contracts, dropped from $8 billion down to $6.2 billion. Plus, decentralized exchange volume fell, and there are negative funding rates from pessimistic derivative traders. So what this indicates is a market still plagued by macro and regulatory uncertainty and fundamental weakness, despite what those exciting daily price bumps might suggest.
Finally, Section 6, the big tech transition, navigating the shift. Now that we've covered the specifics across all these incredibly diverse industries, let's zoom out one final time to understand the macro implications of this massive week in tech. We are in the middle of a colossal transition. AI is becoming infrastructure, gaming is prioritizing hybrid flexibility, space is becoming commercialized, and finance is testing decentralized waters. Whether you're an engineer at Apple wondering about your career path, a gamer deciding which console to buy, or an investor tracking SpaceX and crypto, the lesson here is absolute. Continuous learning and adaptability are no longer optional for survival. The skills and strategies that worked perfectly fine 5 years ago are just obsolete today. Ultimately, instead of blindly chasing every shiny new AI chip, jumping into every volatile crypto token rally, or panicking about industry shifts, you need to ask yourself one fundamental question. How can these technologies actually improve your life, your business, or your community? Focus only on the innovations that deliver genuine, lasting value. The disruption playbook has been written, folks. The empires of tomorrow are being built right now by those willing to adapt. So, are you going to be the one disrupting or the one being disrupted? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Stay curious, keep learning, and I'll see you in the next one.